Right, so Geordie Journos, it might be the international break, but there's no rest for us guys. We're going to bring you a few videos over the course of the time when Sean Longstaffless and Anthony Gordonless England play a couple of matches. Right, first topic of conversation that we're going to turn to is, I mean, it's kind of international related, but we'll be moving from these shores across to Scandinavia. Quickly, I do want to say we've tried our best with this lighting. It is a sun-drenched day on Tyneside, ridiculously mild for mid-October, but we'll try our best with the lighting. So some will look a bit dark and a bit light, and I don't know what this...
Tom's a beacon of light at the end there.
He always is though. I don't know what the thumbnail's going to look like for you producing this one, Tom. There might be a few shiny heads and dark shadows in that one. Right. First topic of conversation, Alexander Isak. I want to ask you guys out there, is there a better striker in the Premier League? Big call. Is there a better striker in the Premier League than Alexander Isak? We're going to have our little say, and there's some little stats that might back up any theories positively and negatively towards Isak potentially being arguably the best striker in the Premier League. Right, so let's start this video off by talking about who his contenders would be. Jordan, give us a little list of, doesn't necessarily have to, it has to be strikers, has to be almost central strikers. Who's the best central strikers apart from Isak, would you say, in the Premier League?
Yeah, obvious one, Erling Haaland.
He's the man, isn't he? I think
Yes.
most people view him as probably the best number 9 in the world.
Although he has a little quiet start of the season, I suppose. Although he's still the Premier League top goal scorer, but by his standards, bagging hat-tricks and stuff every game last season. Yeah, I suppose he could say he's had a quiet start, but on current form as well, you probably have to put in Ollie Watkins there at Aston Villa. He's had a really good start of the season, a man transformed under Unai Emery. I'm trying to rack through the list now of teams.
If you put Watkins in, you've got to put, I wouldn't swap him for Callum Wilson.
This season, that's the thing, you're talking this season. If you go back to last season, Ivan Toney would maybe be in a conversation.
Yep. We can't forget about him.
Yeah, Harry Kane would have been, but obviously has since gone to Bayern Munich. Trying to think, central strikers.
I suppose if you could look at Liverpool, Darwin Núñez, as we've seen here, St James's Park in August, 2 off the bench. He seems to be a player that's finding a little bit of form now after probably a difficult opening 12 months in England.
But I do think you're clutching at straws a little bit once you get past probably the initial Isak, Haaland, the 4 or 5 players. If you're looking at pure central strikers, pure like goal scorers, but even Isak himself has shown a bit of adaptability, being able to drift out wide and things like that. So yeah, I think the players we've named so far are probably about right. We're probably missing someone off, someone glaring, but
yeah, I'm going to look while you reel off these stats. There are some statistics doing the rounds on social media, and it's kind of brought to the fore the idea that we're doing this video and why we want to kind of discuss the subject, because it has been something we've brought up amongst ourselves, talking about, is there anyone with a better all-round game than Alexander Isak? And Dom, I know you've got a few statistics to maybe back up where, almost comparing arguably the best in the world, Erling Haaland, against Alexander Isak, and where Isak maybe stands up to a bit of scrutiny.
Yeah, it obviously comes with the caveat of it is early stages in the season, but Alexander Isak, the only player who outscores him in the Premier League this season is Erling Haaland. Isak's got 6 goals in 7 appearances. Not all of those appearances have been starts as well, and averaging a goal every 79 minutes in the Premier League, which Erling Haaland averaging a goal every 89 minutes, and obviously his conversion rate, Haaland's, is about 29%, whereas Isak doesn't need as many chances to score his goals. His is as high as 40%, which is remarkably high, really. Taking into account he has scored penalty as well, which helps with that conversion rate, but I'm sure Haaland has done the same. So the only player actually who scored 3 or more goals in the Premier League this season with a better goal to minute ratio than Alexander Isak is Callum Wilson, who scored 4 goals in just 2 starts. Most of his goals have come off the bench this season. So yeah, in terms of statistics, which don't always tell the full story but can give you a bit of an indicator, there's certainly a case to be made that Alexander Isak at this moment in time is the most prolific or deadly striker in the Premier League in terms of the chances he's getting and the goals he's scoring given the time he's on the pitch.
So maybe we should have done this video on who's got the best 2 strikers in the Premier League. Right, now I'm going to run a little list here, Jordan, after putting the pairies on the spot.
I'm just looking at you.
Yes. So let's just talk about goals specifically, none of the statistics stuff. You're talking about Erling Haaland with 8, Alexander Isak, Son 6, and then there's not really many central strikers beyond that. Maybe Hwang at Wolves, Odsonne Edouard, Evan Ferguson sticks out like a sore thumb. Very young, still a lot to learn, but Evan Ferguson with 4. The likes of Mo Salah.
Newcastle.
Yeah, he did. Likes of Mo Salah, Jarrod Bowen on 5, who aren't central strikers, and Mbeumo, who has played that role to an extent at Brentford in the absence of Tony, and Bukayo Saka as well, 4. So when you look at those Premier League goal scoring, there's only really 1, 2. I'm going to put Son in there because he has largely played as a central striker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in that top 10 Premier League goal scorers. I mean, where you rank in the likes of an Evan Ferguson compared to somebody like Alexander Isak? For me, it's probably just a bit too early to say, even though he does look like he's got a very, very high ceiling.
Yeah, he's still only 18, Ferguson, and I think we did see firsthand how good he can be in the future, but still got a lot to learn. You can't come out and say that an 18-year-old is a top class player. I think he's one in the making, but he's still got a lot to learn. But the signs are promising. But I mean, if you look at that list there's a lot of white players on that list, and I think that probably shows how important a white player is in the Premier League today. You look at the goals Miguel Almiron contributed to this team last season. It was at 11, 12. So it's not just on a central striker these days. But what I would say is I think Alexander Isak, in terms of an overall striker and an attacker, I think he's an all-rounder. So you talk about white players. Isak's been there and done that. He played. I don't think he's out and out position, but he played on the left wing last season in a spell where him and Callum Wilson were in the team, and I thought he was good out there. So Erling Haaland, I think if you look at him, goal scoring, finishing, just finding spaces in the box, being there, a poacher really, you can't really argue with that. But if you're looking at an all-rounder in terms of creating, dropping deep, finding pockets of space, running at defenders, I think Alexander Isak aren't many better. And you mentioned there about the 2 best strikers in the league. I think Newcastle probably do, because Ollie Watkins, I wouldn't swap Callum Wilson for Ollie Watkins, and I wouldn't swap Alexander Isak for anyone. I think Newcastle got 2 really, really top-class strikers.
Great shout. I think when I think of the comparison in particular, because I'm not putting anybody on that tier, I think there's elite level tier of central strikers in the Premier League, and Isak is right at that table. There's no doubt about it. And I'm only probably putting him there with Erling Haaland. I do think Darwin Núñez, this might be controversial, I do think Darwin Núñez has all the raw attributes to get to that level, and is still reasonably young himself and can get to that level, but there's still a lot of rough edges in his game. Particularly some of his finishing is sublime mixed with horrendous. It's bizarre, but I do think he has, if he could put it all together and get a manager who could help him put it all together, I think Darwin Núñez has got potential to be right up there as the best, but he's a long way off that now, in my opinion. Isak compared to Haaland, direct comparison, when I watch them closely, I've not seen many strikers with the dynamism in that sort of 8-yard area around the goal that I've seen with Haaland. He's got the ability to lose a central defender marked touch tight in the shortest amount of time I've ever seen from any player. He's so quick and sharp to reacting to second balls, to first balls, to everything that goes into the box. And he's got that lightning speed, so he can play on the shoulder. Is excellent at doing that, and is obviously a huge centre forward, big, strong, physical and quick. Again, one who's looks like he's got virtually everything you'd want from an old traditional centre forward in many ways. Isak, for me, you almost look at him and say he's a 9.5. Let's not get all Steve Bruce here, but he's not an out and out 9 in some ways, because you could easily see him playing in the pocket as well, playing as a 10 off a striker, because I think Alexander Isak's main strength for me is not only just when he cuts in onto that right foot, drifting from the left, but when he gets the ability, it might be on the halfway line, it might be a little further forward, when he gets the ability to get a yard between his back and a defender, and he gets that spin and turns and faces, there's nobody more unpredictable, silky with a ball, close control at his feet. He loves driving at players with that incredible speed with the ball that he has. So I do think that stands him out as he's almost unique in his position and the best at doing that. But if we're to say overall nines, I'm going to save this. I'll come on to the verdict now. We've done with 10 minutes. I'm sure everyone else out there will have their opinions. My verdict is, I still think Erling Haaland is the best number 9 in the Premier League. That's my verdict, and I say that purely on the fact that I think the guy could score goals in a team that created nothing or barely anything. I think as long as they got the odd ball into the box, he would finish it. I think he's a one of a kind in that respect. Isak isn't quite as clinical, although when you look at the stats that Dom's put there, I think it is quite incredible. And he's a 1-2 man since he signed, despite his injuries over the course of 18 months now. So that is really putting him up there. Newcastle paid 63 million quid for him. He's a £100 million striker now, at least. I don't think Newcastle would accept 100 million unless there's some kind of hidden clause, as can often be the case in these contracts. But I think I would still, at this moment in time, for me, edge Erling Haaland slightly ahead. Now, you guys may beg to differ.
No, I probably agree. I think Erling Haaland, if you look on last season and how many goals he scored, 36 goals, he's got that track record of just producing ridiculous numbers, whereas Alexander Isak, as much as he's had a good start to the season, doesn't quite have that track record yet. He scored 10 last season. He actually went, I think, over 12 games. He'd only scored in one of those 12 games before he came off the bench and scored against Sheffield United. So that run over the back end of last season, start of this season, he'd only actually scored in the Villa game. So if Erling Haaland went on a run like that, it would be an absolute, the news would be all about how it's an absolute barren run for him and it's a disaster. Whereas Alexander Isak, it probably shows he's got more to his game. The fact that run sort of went a little bit unnoticed, and during that run he probably produced arguably his most impressive moment since he signed for the club, that assist at Everton, which shows there's probably more to his game than simply goals. And just on that conversion rate, 40%, very high. But he has missed, I'd argue, almost 2 open goals this season. Yeah. So could
in
be
the same game, wasn't it? No,
it was
consecutive
the
games.
Burnley game,
yeah.
And then West Ham at the weekend. So yeah, there's still some roughness to him. You spoke about that with Darwin Núñez. I think Isak's probably a more complete striker than Núñez, but there is still that, being 24, still a bit of roughness to him as well. But Erling Haaland, just in terms of an absolute goal-scoring machine, is clear for me. But I think Alexander Isak, for his age, for what we've seen so far, if he can continue this over the course of the coming season, maybe this time next year, we're having a conversation and the gap is significantly smaller than what I think it currently is.
So my opinion, and it might be a controversial one to some out there,
that's what we like.
I like them. People that have done the last one got hammered for that one. So I'm going to say I would not swap Alexander Isak for Erling Haaland, and because
in there.
Listen, because I think Alexander Isak is just an all-rounder. Like the way he drops, occupies spaces, can play anywhere across the front three. Really, a silky Swede. He's got skill, Thierry Henry-esque.
Very much so.
And he's only 24. There's a lot of room to develop there. So I would keep Alexander Isak ahead of Erling Haaland. But what I would do is I would swap Callum Wilson for Erling Haaland, because I think they're probably not similar, because Erling Haaland's obviously levels above, but Erling Haaland is a goal scorer, Callum Wilson is a goal scorer. Alexander Isak is a goal scorer, but also has a lot more to his game as well. So I hope I've totally made sense in what I'm trying to say there.
Very much so. I like it. If you like what we do on the Geordie Journos, we're going to bring a couple more videos like this throughout the international break. Like, comment, share and subscribe. I think that's it, isn't it?
Ring the bell.
Ring the bell. Yeah, ring that bell. Subscribe and you'll get all your Geordie Journos content straight to your device. Cheers, guys.